Hey there, Hofstra fans. Welcome to this week's edition of the WB Mason Coaches Report right here on GoHofstra.com. I'm Mike Sullivan, joined as always this week by head coach of the Hofstra men's lacrosse team, Seth Tierney. Coach, how's everything going?
Thanks, Mike.
You get your first two victories of the season, Fairfield this past Tuesday, and then a thrilling overtime victory Saturday against Georgetown. Just take me through your overall thoughts on the two games. Why was your team able to get two wins?
Yeah, I mean, we thought we played really well versus Princeton. Just not good enough to get the win, but again, statistically, we thought we played really well and we bounced back from the first game. So we were hopeful that we were moving in a good direction. We had to find that edge. We had to get over the top. Fairfield, 17 in the country at the time, a lot of firepower. They can put the ball in the goal, and we stepped up. We made some plays, and won that game 9-7. I thought we did a good job at the face-off X that game. Out-ground balled them and did some good things. I still think we need to put the ball away a little bit more in the second half, and hopefully that's coming soon. And then that led to a quick turnaround versus Georgetown, who is a very talented team. Young at times, playing some young guys out there, coached by an alum, so we knew that they were going to be playing for him, coming back to his alma mater. And go up 6-1. When you introduce the whole thing here, and you said a thrilling victory, I wish it wasn't so thrilling. I'm glad that we got a chance to win an overtime game. I'm glad that we had to come from behind. All of these are stories that we can check the boxes on some of them as experiences, but we also, let's not forget that we were up 6-1, and they crawled back in it. And again, the tendency, human nature is to relax a little bit when you go up a little bit, and fight harder when you're down a little bit, and that's what that was the tail of the tape there. And again, Mike Malave's goal was huge with 1:14, 1:15 to go in the game, bouncing one in the corner, and then having a couple of good defensive stances. Chris Clark had his hands full with Tyler Narr at the X. Their pole was pretty good, and thankful that we got away. We got back up to 2-2 with another victory.
Let's start with that Fairfield matchup. On paper coming in, Clark appeared to have the advantage. One area that the Stags struggled with is at face-off X, and he really took advantage. 14 of 20, his best game of the season. Why do you think he was able to play well?
Yeah, I think it was a good matchup. I thought Chris was locked in. He knows how important each possession is. And he's certainly very talented. There's no getting around it. It was a different animal versus Georgetown. We got another animal coming in Ohio State. But with that being said, it was a good matchup. Chris was very focused on winning the ball in different ways, to himself, to the wings, and when I say different animal, I mean there's just a different style of face-off guy. One the finesse guy, one with a pole, and maybe a guy that's going to bring a little physical play to it.
What about Briar Davis's impact on your team this week? 2 goals against Fairfield, 3 against Georgetown. What difference has he made for your offense?
Yeah, Briar is obviously a player out of Canada. He's got a nose for the ball. Growing up playing box lacrosse, he's comfortable working in tight spaces. So him and Vaughn have created a little chemistry inside. And again, we're continuing. We didn't know Briar's impact 2 months ago was going to be as big as it was now, but this is why you coach. New things develop. Guys work hard and they get some playing time, and he becomes really important because now not just one inside guy, but maybe 2 of them are in there, and it becomes difficult for teams to put short sticks on them because now you lose the 6 feet of a long stick in there, and they can get open a little bit quicker. So now you got to put a couple poles in there, and that will maybe take their attention off of Malave, Hendrickson, Cajolan, Sam, Lance, the guys like that.
You look at defensively, you mentioned that Fairfield coming in 18 goals per game. You hold them to 7. Yeah. Why has that group molded together so quickly down low?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've started to gel. They're starting to like playing, alongside of each other, and defensively, there's a goal. You know what I mean? And you got to keep teams down. There's no getting around it. And we haven't put all the pieces together. We're far from that at this point. Certainly, thrilled to get these 2 victories. And we know we can't press rewind, but we're going to use those first 2 games that we lost as motivation as we go forward. And now it's how do you want more? How do we play better team defense? How do we get that one more stop? How do we get that one more face-off? How do we get those goals in the second half? And how do we start to put all of these pieces together to make the complete puzzle?
To the Georgetown game now, you get your first home OT victory since 2008. Sort of like a monkey off your back type of a feeling, finally getting one of these nail-biting games to go your way. And what was the feeling when Barn put that winner home?
Yeah, I mean, great for Torrin Barn, great for Ryan Riley and John Reicheter, throwing the ball to Ryan Riley, putting it on his stick, and Ryan Riley doing his job, coming down and reading the defense and reading that point man, and he commits and he throws it over to Torrin, and Torrin, that's his step down shot. He put the ball in the goal, and it's a great situation. Those, as I've mentioned to the media after the game, you can draw them up on a board, you can show them on film. Until you're in it, you have to experience that. So, like we said earlier, it's a box that we've checked. We got to we were down one, so we came from behind, and we also got an overtime victory. So certainly happy that's the way it played out.
What about another freshman, Steven Satterthwaite, going up against Peter Conley, one-on-one, came into that, the freshman for the Hoyas, leading them with 11 points. I believe he only had a 2-point game. What do you see from that matchup, and how was Steven able to contain him? Yeah,
I thought Steven probably, I thought he was just the most comfortable he's been in in all 4 of the games. Again, he was a freshman. He was, playing in high school last year. So with that, it takes a little time, and we put him against one of their best attackmen and their playmaker. And Steven sat in his gloves all game long. And in high school, Steven was this, he's not a physically imposing guy, but he has a tendency of getting into people's gloves and playing a little bit more physical. And today, and against Georgetown, it's what he did. He disrupted Connolly's timing a little bit and got into his gloves and beat him to certain spots and studied him, and we're going to need to do that day in and day out.
You mentioned Mike Malave's contribution. 75 seconds left, he gets the equalizer. A guy that, with Breyer getting a lot of time, he didn't see as many runs in that second half, but you bring him in for that last possession and he scores. Why was he able to jump onto the field and get that tying goal?
Yeah, I mean, he was on the field with Breyer, and we basically have a 4-man, first midfield going right at this point in time. So with Hendrickson, Cajolan, Breyer, Davis, and Malave, we're going to run those guys, and then Von Bargen, his timing's coming back, and Begley brings us some fire, and then there's a couple of freshmen that we haven't been able to get a whole lot of time for yet, but hopefully coming soon with Nick Altman and Zach Franco and Trevor Kopecky and Steele Stockstill. So we need to see those guys as well. Mike Malave, he had a wonderful freshman year for us. In the last year, he was disappointed in his year, and for him to score that goal for us, huge for him, his confidence. He's a very, very good player, and I'm very happy. If there was a guy that I could pick out to get the tying goal, Michael would have been at the top of the list.
Moving forward in this homestand, Ohio State comes in on Saturday, entered the season top 10 team in the league. They've played some very close games, a couple of 1-goal losses. They're coming off a 3-goal loss to Penn State. What have you seen from the Buckeyes so far this season?
They're really good. They are. They've got one of the better players in the country in Jesse King. They've got a couple of other talented midfielders and attackmen. They got a very good goalie. They're good between the lines. They play fast offensively. They got a Canadian flair, and we're going to need to be on our toes, and there's no getting around it. So with that is another great opportunity with Ohio State coming in. Their record at 1-3, you can throw that out the window. They've played against Penn State, UMass, and Hopkins in those 3 losses, and those teams are playing very, very good lacrosse right now. So with that, they're going to be hungry coming in. We got to be starving, and when we take the field against them on Saturday, and again today is going to be a Hofstra day, and then we'll slowly grow during the week with the game plan.
What's going to be the mindset finally, Coach, this week to try to pull off the upset against the visiting Buckeyes?
I think we got to increase our IQ a little bit. We had a couple of letdowns in the clearing game. When we got a little bit fatigued. We've got to, when the other team is going to make plays throughout the course of a game, other teams make plays. We don't need to white-knuckle our sticks and grip them really tight. Let's just get to the next play. Let's move forward. Let's gain some of our poise back, because I thought we lost it a little bit in the third and the beginning of the fourth versus Georgetown. Let's increase the IQ. Let's increase the speed of the way we want to play. And certainly, as we end always, the passion to play for Hofstra lacrosse.
The Hofstra men's lacrosse team returns to the field this Saturday against Ohio State. For head coach Seth Tierney, I'm Mike Sullivan. Thanks for tuning in to the W.B. Mason Coaches Report.